Hi everyone, it is Thursday 3 o'clock and that means it's time for our live Facebook cook-along. And today is a really special one because it's very much focused around summer and also allergy-free. So we're doing gluten-free today. So if you're joining us, remember that you've got all the ingredients on the Facebook page. I will talk through them. So if you haven't caught that, I will be going through each ingredient as well. We're using obviously the Cook Expert today, and I will be using both the metal bowl and also the food processor which comes with it. So I hope you're going to be cooking along with me. Just let me know before I make a start where you are, whether or not as well that you need to be gluten-free, or whether you're just interested because you might have other family members that are allergy-free as well. And I'm actually going to suggest other alternatives. So if you've got other allergies, just let me know. I can make lots of other suggestions. My background is that I'm a nutritionist and a chef, so I have that nice combination. But I'm also a celiac as well. So I have spent probably 20 years doing gluten-free recipes, dairy-free, egg-free, and so on. So this is really great to be able to show you how easy it is to make your own gluten-free dishes. And today it's pastry. So what we're going to demonstrate today is a gluten-free quiche. This is perfect for the summer. So if you want to eat al fresco, maybe you actually just want something for packed lunches, but gluten-free pastry is fundamentally important. If you are gluten-free, you'll know whether you want to make sweet pastries, meringues, quiches, tarts. You know, it's one of those really simple recipes that I'm going to show you, and we're going to start with that. And then afterwards, what I'm going to do is show you a very, very simple, healthy mango mousse that I actually serve as a sorbet for my boys, which they absolutely love. So let me get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the pastry, and we're going to do that using one of the settings. So if you're familiar with the Cook Expert, it has 13 pre-programmed settings. So it has programs that if you're new, or even if you're not, and you just want it to make it very, very simple for you, you can just select one of the settings. And that's what we're going to be doing because it has its own pastry setting. So let me just run you through the ingredients first of all. So because it's gluten-free, I've got here 200 grams of gluten-free plain flour. So just the regular plain flour. So that's going in. And one of the things that often we use in gluten-free pastry and breads as well is just a little bit of xanthum gum. So you want about ½ a teaspoon of xanthum gum. Now what that does is it helps to bind the pastry together. So I would recommend you add that at the same time. Then I'm using 100 grams of butter. But you could use dairy-free spread. I make dairy-free spread in my pastries a lot for those that are dairy-free. So it will work if you want to make this totally dairy-free. And then I'm adding 1 egg, and you also will need about 2 tablespoons of water. Now the water thing might vary. So what I would suggest you do is just add 2 tablespoons of water at this moment, and then if it looks still like it's not coming together, then you can just add another tablespoon. Now with gluten-free pastry, you want it to be slightly damp. So it's a little bit different from regular pastry, but remember, if you're not gluten-free, you can follow this same recipe, just omit the xanthum gum, use regular plain flour, and make your own regular pastry. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually select the pastry mode. So you have these buttons that you can press, and it will just take you through different settings. You want the baking setting, and you press OK, and then it will come up with pastry and cake, and that's the one that we're going to use. Then simply all you need to do is press the auto button, and it will start to mix it all up together. Now you can see that what I've done is actually just added everything in there. And the nice thing is that you've got the glass lid, so you can just look through and to see, is it coming together or not? And what you should find is that you'll have a fairly soft pastry. So it should all start coming together. Now, what you can also do is, if, for example, you think, oh, that's a little bit dry, or it's a little bit too wet, then what you can just do is just add a little bit of water or a little bit of flour, and then just put the setting on again. So I'm just going to add just a tiny bit of flour. And again, ideally, I would say make sure that your butter or dairy-free spread is nice and quite cold. It tends to work better. So let me just show you what it looks like. So I'll just move this out the way. Now, one of the other things about gluten-free pastry is that you don't generally roll it out in flour, which might sound a little bit strange. And the reason for that is, again, because it doesn't really have that gluten to help you bind it, it's often will dry out. So normally, again, often people will chill their pastry before they roll it out. You don't really need to do that with gluten-free pastry, which actually makes it really, really quick and easy to make. So I'm just going to put it out so you can see my pastry first. And then, although I said that we don't roll it out with flour, what we do, so you can see how lovely that's come together. It's really lovely. It should be slightly soft, not wet, but slightly soft. Now, here's a really good tip. If you haven't tried making your own pastry, which is gluten-free, you use cling film. Might sound a little bit strange, but you will thank me for this. So if you're making this, let me know how you're getting on, whether you've tried pastry before, particularly gluten-free pastry. A lot of people get very nervy about pastry full stop. You really don't need to. And the joy of the Cook Expert is that it will just make it so quick and easy for you. So what I will actually normally do is I will actually double those ingredients so that I am, making 2 or 3 at the same time. And then you can just freeze them. And the pastry will also, you could just roll it out, keep it in the fridge for a couple of days as well. So again, good time saver. This is what's so great about it. So just use your rolling pin, and all I'm going to do first of all is just press it down, just so that you can get an even pastry. And again, unlike regular pastry, normally with regular pastry, you would turn it a quarter turn and then you would roll it again. Again, there's no gluten in this, so it's not really going to shrink on you when you then cook it. And just like normal quiches, what we will be doing is just pre-baking this, so we bake it blind. Now, this amount of pastry that I've suggested, the 200 grams of flour, that should be enough for a 20 centimetre tart tin. So this is one of your regular sort of quiche tins. I tend to use the ones that have a removable base. It just makes it easier. So you just want to put that on top of your pastry so that you've got the right amount of pastry rolled out. Any little leftovers, make really good jam tarts for the boys, which is what I tend to do. So once you've got it roughly the right size, take off that top bit of cling. So I put cling on the work surface and then I put cling on the top when I'm rolling it out. And then the great thing is, you then pick up your cling and you can use that to help you just line your tart tin. So just press it in and down. And it's honestly, this is so simple. If you're making this with me, let me know how it's going. But if you do it later, just post on the Facebook page and let me know how your pastry has gone. And remember, you don't have to use this to make a quiche. I will regularly, at the moment, we've got so many raspberries at home and strawberries, I'm making a lot of fruit pies. And this is just the same recipe. You don't need to add sweeteners at all. So it's absolutely perfect. And then you just gradually just remove that cling. Don't want to cook that, obviously. And then what I tend to do is I just flip over the pastry and then I get my rolling pin again And at this point, I will just cut off any excess, like so. And I'm just going to lift that up so you can just see how simple and how quick it is to make this in real time. So there you are, that's your pastry case. Doesn't that look great? Really professional, really easy. And then all you're going to do is, now I tend to use these commercial sort of ceramic baking beans. You want your oven on at 200 degrees C, so that's gas mark 6. I just screw up a little bit of greaseproof parchment paper, stick that in, and then I toss my beans in, and that's going to cook now for 15 minutes. At that point, take out your beans and just put it back in the oven for another 5 minutes. And that's your pastry base done, and then you're ready to make your filling. So that's simple, really, really easy. So I'm just going to move this out of here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the actual filling. And this is going to be a lovely bacon and leek tart, so quiche. So what I want to do is show you again what we can do with our food processor. As many of you probably know, I love the food processor. I use it so often. And remember that when you get your Cook Expert, you get the metal bowl, which can obviously heat up as well because this is induction, but also you get your food processor as well. And this is just one of my most regularly used pieces of equipment in my house. And you get the 3 bowls, the midi and the small. The small I use a lot for dressings, pestos, herbs, spice and paste and things like that. Really, really good. And also even things like making your own mayo. And you can make really good vegan mayo. So that's another day for a recipe. But I use that for that. But this bit is great for things like shredding and grating. And you get 4 blades. And we're going to use a grating and we're going to use a slicing blade as well. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the grater and we're going to actually grate some cheese. Now again, and I often will do this, you can make this dairy-free. There are some really good dairy-free products out there now, which actually don't taste that bad, I have to say. But I'm using regular cheese today, but you could easily make this quiche dairy-free. So just put your chunk of cheese in. You don't really need to do anything with it. And then automatically, it will recognise that you're on a food processor. So all you need to do is press auto, and it's going to grate it for us. That is also an awful lot cheaper than buying pre-made grated cheese from the supermarket. So, you know, just buy a massive, great big chunk of cheese, grate it, ready for when you want to use it in dishes. It's so, so easy. So I'm going to take the cheese out because that's going to be for the filling. And I'm just going to put that, oops, I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to put that in a little bowl because we're going to use that to use for the actual topping, the filling. So that's going in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shred this time. I'm just going to pick up the little attachment and we're going to shred the leek. So I'm going to use 4mm blade. And this is, honestly, this is so, so quick and easy. If you are someone that really doesn't particularly like to cut up veg, shred onions, and particularly leeks. Leeks can be quite fibrous and they can be a bit tricky to get really nice. So this is a perfect way of just getting a very, very professional look to your leeks and to your filling. And of course you could use anything. I mean, if you wanted just to do a cheese and onion quiche, that would be, you know, you could use the onion and you could slice it through that. So I'm just going to, again, shred a leek. And it was just 1 leek. So that was around about 90 grams of cheese just for 1 quiche. And that's just 1 leek. So obviously you could double this up if you wanted to. Now, of course, what we want to do is we're going to make this a bacon and leek quiche. So normally what you do when you're making a quiche, you bake the pastry blind and then you might pre-cook some of the ingredients, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And that just means you get a much richer flavour when you then bake your actual tart in the oven. So I'm putting this back on. You don't need to clean this. So again, you know, time saver. All I'm going to do is put a tiny bit of olive oil in the base, like so. And we're going to put in some bacon. Probably you need about 100 grams, and these are just bacon lardons, so they're already pre-chopped. So again, very, very simple. It doesn't really matter if they're smoked or unsmoked. The smoke just has a slightly richer flavour. And then we're going to add, and I'm just going to use a spatula to get these out, we're going to add the leeks at the same time. Now, you're going to select your expert mode. But one thing I like to do is, because I don't want almost it to be too moist, at this point, I'm actually going to take the lid off. And the reason for that is that you don't want a soggy pastry base. So you've cooked your pastry, you don't want that filling to be too wet. So one of the great things is you can decide whether you need your lid on or off. If you're, say, simmering something and you want to reduce it, say, for example, you might be making jam in this, which I do an awful lot, I would actually take the lid off in order just to reduce it slightly. But there'll be lots of other times where you actually want that moisture. And that's one of the beauties, is that you can decide and chop and change. So, for example, if I was cooking fish and chicken and I wanted it to remain really nice and moist, I would keep the lid on. So again, you can decide. So I'm actually doing expert now, and what I want to do is, I probably won't need quite 5 minutes. I probably only actually need 4 minutes. But I'm going to take the temperature up because we're actually going to cook this. And one of the beauties of the induction is it heats up really quickly. So again, things that might take you a little bit longer probably won't in the Cook Expert. You can get things done very quickly. Now, the speed, you have variable speeds, and this is again the beauty of the Cook Expert. You can decide what you want, how much you want it to be mixing. And I'm selecting 1A, so we've got about 5 minutes, 1A, 95 degrees. Now, the 1A just means it's a sort of alternating stir. So it's a bit like if you were standing over an oven, or sorry, a hob, and you were just stirring occasionally, you know, like risotto, for example, but you have to be standing there doing it. Well, this just takes the hassle out of it. So I'm going to press on. So you'll hear it rotates, but then it will stop, but it will carry on cooking. And again, the induction means it heats up really quickly. So again, you can just be going off and doing something else. What I'm going to do is just show you the rest of the filling while we're here. So I've got here 3 eggs. Again, this is enough for 1 20-centimetre quiche. So again, if you were doubling up, just double everything up. Now, I like to add just a little bit of Dijon mustard. So depending on whether you like it spicy or not, I'd probably put about ½ teaspoon in. Season it well, particularly, you won't need so much in the way of salt, because remember the bacon is quite salty, but black pepper really makes a difference to quiche. So if you haven't tried putting in some black pepper, do. Now at this point as well, you could say, I actually want to add some fresh herbs. And often what I do, I mean, it's now the summer, I love doing things like roasted red peppers and sun-dried tomato tarts as well. And I will often add a little bit of, say, basil or chopped parsley. And you could add that at this point. So I'm just going to mix that together. And then, of course, we've got our grated cheese here. So we're going to add the grated cheese. So you just need a quick little whisk. And then I'm going to add just a little bit. Now, this could be cream, it could be milk, or if you're making it dairy-free, you could just use some soya cream or soya milk. or a similar alternative. So you need about between 100 and 150 mils of the cream, milk, or soya cream. And just again give that a little mix, and then we're just going to pop in the grated cheese, or it could be your soya cheese. And I'm just going to show you, see how lovely and creamy that looks. I'm just going to show you a pre-baked tart tin, because obviously I've made one earlier. So let me just get that. So you would have had your quiche tart pastry in the oven, just to remind you, 20 minutes in total. So 15 minutes at 200 degrees C, take the pastry off, and then all you're really doing is just crisping up the bottom as well. And again, if you want to, you could do this well ahead of time. It doesn't have to be done all at the same time, so you could prepare this now, and then you maybe want to cook this a little bit later, just before you want to eat. So let me know if you are making this, and what your other favourite fillings are, because it's always lovely to hear what you're making. Another one that I do is, with this particular mix, I might also, instead of the Dijon mustard, I might just add a spoonful of pesto, or even sun-dried tomato pesto, and that just adds such a lovely summery flavour. So again, this will just give you a sort of basic recipe, and when you can just adapt that according to what you may be growing in your garden. Tomato tarts are just wonderful, particularly with the bacon as well. So I can see the steam coming out. It's misting up nicely, so I can see that it's cooking and softening. So for me, that is just about done. So that was probably about 4 minutes. That's really all you need, because remember, of course, we will be cooking this again in the oven. But I just want to show you, oh, it smells gorgeous. So you can see that it's all softened, and the colour of the leek stays wonderfully bright green, which is fantastic. And again, because I kept the lid off, you haven't got loads and loads of moisture here, so you can just literally tip it straight into your tart, which is what I'm going to do. So you put your filling in first, and that is amazing. And I love quiches and tarts which are really packed with filling, you know, so you're really getting that wonderful flavour rather than just a sort of eggy base. And again, you could make this vegan. So the pastry, you can omit the egg and just increase a little bit of the butter instead. So you can make the pastry vegan. You could take the bacon out. And I've got lots of recipes without egg fillings. So you can use things like silken tofu to replace the eggs to make a vegan quiche as well. So there's loads of variations that you can do. So if you're on special diets or particularly dietary requirements, you know, you can just use this same recipe and just tweak it very slightly. So once your filling's in, you can see how gorgeous that colour is. And just because you've really finely shredded that leek, it just looks so professional, and it cooks quickly as well, which is great. And then you're just going to pour in that filling, and that will just soak in wonderfully. And just push that around like so. And then at this point, if you're cooking it straight away, turn your oven down to 180, and then you're going to be cooking this for 30 minutes. And I'll show you in a bit what it looks like, because I've made one earlier. But it's gorgeous, hot or cold, and just delicious as a sort of, you know, little side salad. That's all you would need. So that's your summer gluten-free quiche done. Now I want to show you, I'm just going to move this out the way. I want to show you a really, really simple treat, summer treat, but healthy. And again, one of the nice things about when you buy your Cook Expert, you get some extra attachments, which is brilliant. This is your whisk attachment. And all you do is literally slot this onto the existing metal blade in there. That's all you need to do. we are going to be whisking up some egg whites. So you would do exactly the same thing if you were making meringues or macaroons or anything like that, you know, Swiss rolls and so on. So again, I mentioned that we have a number of settings. You actually have one for beaten egg whites, which is fantastic. So again, it takes all the guesswork out of this. One thing I would say, always make sure, and you can see that I've used a separate metal bowl, you need a clean, very clean bowl whenever you're doing egg whites. Now, if you're unsure, what I would say is just take a little bit of either apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, dab it on a little bit of kitchen roll and just wipe round your bowl. And that way it's going to be easier to get that really fluffy texture. So you now need 4 egg whites. So I'm going to put that in. And you can either buy cartoned egg whites or you can just use the yolks to make a custard. And again, the cook expert will do that really easily for you. So I'm just going to put that in straight away first. Now, one of the things that I would mention is, again, you're going to take the lid off. Very easy to do. And the reason for that is we want air, because what we're actually going to be doing is beating this, incorporating as much air as possible. So if you've ever done it by hand, you know that often you would turn the bowl to try and incorporate more air as you're doing it. Again, you don't really need to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the baking section. You press OK, and then just use your arrows and you will see the program that says beaten egg whites. Now, you can just press auto because it will just go on for you at a speed of 5. The automatic time setting is 7 minutes. Now, actually, you won't need quite 7 minutes, so you could just change the time. You'll probably just need about 5 minutes to do the first bit. And what we're actually looking to do is get that fairly light and fluffy before we add the other ingredients. Now, I'm doing a mango one. Partly the reason is it's a lovely summer tropical fruit, but you could change this whatever fruit you've got. I will often have bags of frozen fruit in the freezer ready to make, you know, instant ice creams or sorbets or mousse like this. Again, this is the summer. You've probably got lots of strawberries, raspberries that you could use instead. So if you've got that glut of fruit, and I know we have, this is a really good recipe to make. And again, you can freeze this to make it as an ice cream. So much, much healthier than regular ice cream, and so much simpler as well. So again, one of the beauties is you've got your clear lid, so you can start to see it really foaming up. And you'll need probably about 3 or 4 minutes. So I'll just run you through the other ingredients. So I've got here 400 grams of mango. Now, I've actually just cheated in a way and just got a bag of frozen mango. And again, this works really well with bags of mixed frozen berries, you know, anything that you've got in the garden. You know, blackberries will work really well. The only thing I would say is if you're doing, you know, a berry, what I might do is once you've pureed this, and I'll show you in a minute, you might want to just push it through a sieve if you don't like little seeds. And obviously one of the beauties with some of the tropical fruits is you don't need to do that. So I can see that this is now lovely and foamy and reasonably stiff. I don't want it too stiff because we're going to add a couple more ingredients. So what I'm going to do, and you can just switch it off by literally just turning the lid. And I just want to, first of all, I just want to take this out so you can see. Can you see how quickly that has really, really expanded because it's incorporating that air? Now, the 2 other things that I want to add is a little bit of cream of tartar. Now, what that does, and you just want 1 to 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, and you just sprinkle that over. What that does is it just helps to stabilise the egg white. Some people will use things like xanthum gum or arrowroot to do it. I like the cream of tartar. I think that works a little bit better. And then just a little bit of either caster sugar, or you could use icing sugar, just to, again, provide more of a glossy, thicker meringue. You can do it without if you want to. It's more really just so you get this lovely sort of quite fluffy, stiff meringue. And this would be exactly what you would do if you were making a pavlova, for example, which is the perfect time of year to be making it. You would just follow exactly this same technique. You would whisk it up for about 4 or 5 minutes. Then you would add your sugar. Some people add a little bit of vinegar. I don't think you really need that. And you've got to be careful that doesn't overpower things. And your cream of tartar. And then you would make your pavlova or little meringues just as you would normally. The 2 other ingredients are the mango, and I like to add just a little bit of Greek yogurt. And again, you could switch this. It works really well with coconut yogurt, or you could leave it out. So you don't have to add that at all. But what it does is, particularly if you're thinking, I might actually freeze this to make a sorbet, it just gives a little bit more of a creamy texture, but you're not adding cream or egg yolks or anything like that at all. So I can see that this is pretty much done. And I'm just going to get a bowl because I really want to show you just how lovely and fluffy it is. So again, all you're going to do is whisk it up for about 4 minutes. Then you add your sugar and your cream of tartar, and then you're going to whisk it up for another 2 or 3 minutes. So it's really not going to take you very long. So I'm going to stop this now because I can see that it's all done. I'm going to take off my lid. I'm going to use this again in a sec because I'm going to blend up the mango, and then you just remove your blade or your whisk, and then I just want to show you just how lovely this looks. You can see here, can you just see? That's a lovely dropping consistency. See how thick that is? And that really has not taken me long at all. So I'm going to place that in a glass bowl so I can then blend up my mango as well. But again, you can use the beaten egg white setting for so many different recipes. And you might be thinking, well, this is all very well, but I can't do a vegan option. You can, and you exactly use the same thing. And instead, and some of you may have seen that I've done these sort of recipes before, instead of egg white, you can actually use the juice of a can of chickpeas, which is normally called aquafaba. And all you do is add that can, so it will probably be about 100 mils. Add the can, whisk it up, beaten egg white mode, so exactly the same way. You then add the cream of tartar, you add the sugar, exactly the same, and it will look just like this, honestly. So you can make this vegan as well. And that's the beauty, is that once you experiment with your cook expert, you'll realise just how much you can make from scratch and easily adapt to suit your own dietary needs. So this time I'm going to just put the lid on, just move that out of the way, and all I'm going to want to do really is just, I just want to blitz this up to a puree so that it's lovely and smooth. So this is where I will actually go back to the expert mode, because I want to just tell it that I want to just gradually increase the speed. So obviously I don't want to heat this, so there's no heat, and you'll probably only need, probably a minute if that. So we start off at 3, which is the normal setting, and then just use your plus button, and all we're going to do is gradually increase the speed, like so. And that's simple. So all you are doing is just creating an amazing puree. So again, If you were using a different type of fruit, do exactly the same thing. If it did have seeds in and you're thinking, oh, I don't really want the seeds, then at this point, what I would do, you can see how lovely and smooth that is. That's just taken, what, 30 seconds? What I would do is if it had seeds and I didn't want the seeds, I would just put this through a sieve before I added it to the meringue. So at this point, we're just going to mix the two. Now, you've got a decision at this point. Are you going to serve it like it is, which is wonderful, I have to say, or if you want to get yourself ahead, then what you can do is put it into a little Tupperware freezer-proof container and just freeze it. You'll probably need a couple of hours, and then it would be ready to serve. I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to fold in these ingredients now, so I'm just using the spatula. Remember, when you get your Cook Expert as well, you get 2 spatulas, so you've got everything you need really to make a whole range of amazing recipes. You can see how lovely and thick this is. So this is perfect now as a mousse. So you could just put this in some glasses, which is what I'm going to do, and serve it like that. Or you could then freeze it. So I'm just going to get a couple of glasses. One other thing that I sometimes like to do as well is maybe add just a tiny bit of lime to this. Mango and lime work so, so well together. But you can, again, prepare this in advance, put it in little ramekins or glasses, put it in the fridge, and then it's ready to eat when you are. So what's lovely about this is, you know, all of these recipes are suitable for sort of getting ahead, being prepared, taking the fuss out of cooking, but still making everything from scratch as well. So let me just do one more. And I also quite like to just top it with either a little bit of lime or mint goes really well as well. So again, you can freeze this. My boys love this, just scooped into gluten-free ice cream cones, quite frankly. So I'm just going to move that over there. I've got a couple of little mint leaves that I like to just add to the top. How gorgeous is this? And then let me just show you as well the final quiche. Just like Blue Peter, I'm going to show you one that I've made earlier, so just let me get that. So all you need to do is put it in the oven for 30 minutes, and then your quiche is done. Delicious, hot or cold. I'm just going to lift this up so can you see how lovely that filling is. Really lovely and thick, full of lovely seasonal ingredients, and a very, very simple, wonderful, family-friendly dish as well. So that is our cooking demo today. I really hope that you make these recipes, because if you've ever wanted to know how to make gluten-free pastry in particular, try this recipe, because it is so, so easy and you will love it. You'll be hooked. So here's our wonderful gluten-free quiche, fabulous healthy summer mango mousse, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave us some comments, and also just let us know what other things you would like us to prepare and show you, because honestly, the amount of different recipes you can make in the Cook Expert is endless. So let us know what your favourite recipes are, let us know what you would like us to show you, and I hope you've enjoyed these recipes, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.